So now let's do naming ionic compounds. So in this case, we're going to go from the formula to the name. So what we're going to do is we'll start with this formula, and we'll write, I've got an aluminum and an oxygen. And you can kind of uncross these charges, and you can also look at the charges that you know. Like we know aluminum's 3+, and we know the oxygen's 2-. So aluminum and oxygen, and this is not a transition metal, so it's as simple as aluminum oxide. Okay, remember the anion ends in "ide." That's aluminum oxide. I've got some SN and some Cl. I know Cl is -1, and since there's 4 of them, SN must be 4+. And we need to use the anion to figure out the charge on tin, because tin is a transition metal and it could form more than one ion. So we need the chloride to help us find that out. So this is going to be tin 4, Roman numeral 4, chloride. Okay, tin 4 chloride. Here we got some Ba, we've got some N. We know N is 3- and barium is 2+, and again you could kind of uncross those. So this is as simple as barium nitride. Now you might want to pause the video and see if you can name these last 3. Okay, and then we'll restart it and I'll be naming them for you. Hopefully you pause the video and try it, otherwise you're still just listening to me doing all the work. Okay, so Na+, Se2- is just sodium selenide. Okay. Cr and P. Chromium's a transition metal, so we're not sure what its charge is, but we know phosphorus is 3-, and since there's 1 of each, chromium must be 3+. So this is going to be chromium, Roman numeral 3, phosphide. Alright, and then Sr and Br. Br is minus, Sr is 2+. Not a transition metal, so just strontium bromide. But notice every time I have to ask myself if that metal is a transition metal or not. So let's see if we can do it now with polyatomic ions. So this is a little trickier, because if you don't know your polyatomic ions, you're kind of in trouble. But if you do know them, it's actually pretty easy. That's a polyatomic ion, and that's a polyatomic ion. If you know their names, then you know this is ammonium sulfate. Okay, so if you've memorized them, you're all set. If you haven't, you got a little trouble. Na, not a transition metal, so I'm just going to call this sodium. And this polyatomic ion is called oxalate. So sodium oxalate. Okay, oxalate. Tin, transition metal, but it's one of those that doesn't use a Roman numeral. Sorry, zinc. So just zinc. And you know what ClO4 is? That's called perchlorate. Okay, so again, pretty easy if you know your polyatomic ions, not so much if you don't. Silver, another transition metal that doesn't use a Roman numeral. So this is just silver. And this polyatomic ion is called dichromate. So silver dichromate. Strontium phosphate. Okay, and then this is one that always confuses people. This is a funky polyatomic ion, Hg2, 2+, and Cl-. The name of this ion is actually mercury 1. It's one of the polyatomic ions you're going to learn. So mercury 1 chloride. So that's how you go from formulas to names.